How's Flint doing? Good. Let me start off by saying this. How would you react if someone told you greatness doesn't live here? Think about that for a minute. Greatness doesn't live here. Imagine when somebody's talking about your dreams, your lives, or your community. They say greatness doesn't live here. Especially when you tell them about your dreams, or someone from a position of authority tells you that your dreams are over before they begun. Let me tell you this thing about dreams. Dreams are nothing more than plans awaiting action. And sometimes you may be the only person that can see your vision. Some of you know what I'm talking about. I'm sure at some point you were told that you're not good enough, that you're not smart enough, that you're not talented enough. Heck, maybe you didn't come from the right neighborhood. Do you believe that dream? Or do you challenge that lie? See, I believe that greatness is in here and in here. How many people here know what this thing is? I'm not trying to trick you. Challenge flag, right? It's a challenge flag. NFL head coaches, they get a challenge flag. They get 2 challenges during the course of a game. And they're throwing a challenge flag at the referee because they believe that the referee made the wrong call. You've seen that before, right? But if the head coach is right, he gets an additional challenge flag. So he's throwing that challenge flag saying, I don't believe what you have to say. I'm challenging that lie. Let me take you back just a few years ago. I'm born and raised in Homestead, Pennsylvania. It's a suburb 10 minutes outside of Pittsburgh. I went to Steel Valley High School, graduated high school in 1992. From there, I had no idea what I wanted to do after high school. So I remember a coach coming from Eastern Michigan. So all my boys are like, yeah, Eastern Michigan's here. And the coach was really interested in me. And he says, we want you to come to Eastern Michigan. He said, we want you to come up here on a visit. And I'm like, well, what do you mean come on a visit? He says, have you ever been, you ever know been to Ypsilanti? Ypsi who? I said, I don't even know how to spell it, let alone what you mean, what makes you think that I would know how to get to Ypsilanti? So I ended up getting up to Ypsilanti. But when I'm telling my boys what I wanted to do, and they're like, well, if you plan on or you want to become a professional football player, what makes you think you're going to make it there going to Eastern Michigan? How do you think you're going to get there going to Eastern Michigan? And at that point, I started thinking to myself, because what I saw, what my dreams were, was not the reality of what I saw when I opened up my door. When I opened up my door, depressed area, steel mills that was shutting down. And all I wanted to do was go to school. So I finally get to Eastern Michigan in 1992. And when I get there, the head coach that brought me in, he resigned 4 games into that season. So at that point, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I need to figure out how I'm going to play. So the first couple of years, I didn't play. I just sat there. I'm sitting there. All my boys are playing. My roommates are playing. They're bringing recruits in. They're playing. Then I'm standing and I'm getting upset. So I finally get a chance to play. So when I do get a chance to play, we had a head coach by the name of Ron Cooper. Some of you all might be familiar with Ron Cooper. But Ron Cooper, he came to Eastern Michigan from Notre Dame. He left after we beat Toledo in the final game of the 1994 season. He takes the head coaching job at Louisville. And I'm like, wow, I thought I was playing and I finally got an opportunity to play. Now I'm under a new head coach. So Rick Rasnick comes in, brought him in from Utah. There was an offensive coordinator by the name of Dan Henson. Dan Henson, some of the name might be familiar to you because his son went to Brighton High School, who ended up going to the University of Michigan by the name of Drew Henson. Some of you are familiar with that name. So when I got there, all of a sudden I'm mad. I'm pissed off now because the coach is saying, why are you so upset? I said, reason why we're not winning because you're not playing me. And he said, say that again? I said, the reason why we're not winning because you're not playing me. And he finally sat me down and he said, Charlie, it's not your ability. It's your attitude. I said, my attitude, that's why we're not winning. He said, see what I'm talking about? He said, won't you just shut up for a minute and listen? And at that point, I finally started to realize and things started to come together when I was at school. And when I sat there, I'm thinking to myself, okay, some of the principles that I thought, I'm going to tell you one, is being ready. Being ready. What's that? It's a high standard. It means putting in the work and doing daily what ordinary people do occasionally. Being ready. It's a high standard. It means putting in the work and doing daily what ordinary people do occasionally. Now let me tell you a point where in my life where I wasn't ready. I remember being in 6th grade. And now I know a lot of you all just started school, but I remember at the end of the school year, there was about 30 of us that get called down to the guidance counselor's office. So at that point, we're sitting down there. Everybody's kind of like, yeah, we're getting ready to go on vacation. And we sit there, and the guidance counselor comes out like this. I just want to congratulate you all. I'm like, yeah, congratulate me. I'm moving on to 7th grade. He says, no, I'm congratulating you all because you all failed 6th grade. How do you fail 6th grade? I don't know, but I sure enough figured it out. So now, the walk home from school, it only took about 10 minutes now. This walk home from school took me about an hour and a half. My mother gets off of work at 3:30. I still wasn't home. So I got there. At that point, I remember my mom coming. If I finally walked in the door, and my mom comes in. I'm thinking, man, she is going to tear my tail up. She just walks in. She has a smile on her face. She said, oh my goodness, my mama's smiling. This is not good. And at that point, she says, I just want to thank you. I said, why are you thanking me, Mom? She said, because now it gives me an opportunity to take something away from you that you love. She took sports away from me. Not only did she take sports away from me, but I had to attend summer school. So I attended summer school throughout, but at that point, football practice started. And my mother said, you really think I'm playing? You are not playing football. So I had to now get back into the books. So when football practice actually started, when they put the pads on, she says, come on, you go to practice. So I get to practice. I'm like, I knew my mother was going to break down. She said, no, sit there. Grab your book bag and study. I said, but I studied at home. She said, no, study. And at that point, it made me realize sports and education go hand in hand. That was the first and only time that I've ever failed a class. And at that point, I thanked my mother for that. Because as I realized that, and she knew I had a gift, but she wanted to make sure that I knew that football wasn't going to last forever. So I thanked my mother for that. But that was the time I wasn't ready. But number 2 is being resilient. What's being resilient? It's the ability to adapt to change or misfortune. The ability to adapt to change or misfortune. How many people in here know someone who has been affected by gun violence? Show of hands. Anybody that you know, somebody who's been affected by gun violence? Let me take you back to February 18th, 1996. I remember being at Eastern Michigan. I remember the phone ringing. I remember my roommate answers the telephone. He says, hello, it's my mom. He knew it was my mom. He says, Charlie, your mom's on the phone. So anybody know my mother, they knew my family, we're very close. I said, Mom, what's up? There's dead silence on the other end. I said, Mom, what's going on? She said, you need to come home. I said, you need to tell me why I'm coming home. She said, just come home. So I'm packing a bag full of nothing because I had no idea how long I was coming home. I said, Mom, I'm packing this bag. You need to tell me why I'm coming home. Now let me take you back to 1996. You don't have these cell phones like you do today. You had these little things called a beeper. People in here know what a beeper is, right? Yeah. If you don't know what a beeper is, some doctors probably are the only ones wearing them nowadays. But what this device is, you call a number, you hear a beep, you dial the number that you want to show up on this device, and it shows up. So I says, Mom, I don't have a cell phone. All I have is this beeper, and I can't afford to be on the road if you beep me to tell me what's going on. So I said, Mom, you need to tell me what's going on. And at that point, with the deepest swallow that I've ever heard in my life, She said, Charlie, your sister's been shot and killed. I'm like, what? So I packed this bag. I get on 23. I'm driving down 23. I get to the Ohio Turnpike. I am flying home. I get past Cleveland. I get right before I get to Youngstown, I get pulled over. The police officer pulls me over. He says, excuse me, Mr. Batch, why were you speeding? I tell him the story. He couldn't verify it at that point. And at that point, he let me go. He said, Charlie, continue on with your journey. You've never seen me. Finally get across the Pennsylvania border. Then when you get to the third exit into Pennsylvania, that's the Cranberry exit, you start to ride into Pittsburgh. So I get to Pittsburgh, 10 minutes east of Pittsburgh, I get to an exit called Homestead. That is where I'm at. I come across the bridge. During that time, the steel mills now have officially shut down. So the bridge is pitch dark. So I'm driving across this bridge. I get at the end of the bridge, that's 8th Avenue. I go up the hill 3.5 blocks. I make a left on a road that I will never forget. It's called East Laurel Way. So I get out of my car, I'm walking around. So I see yellow tape, so I knew something happened. So as I walk around, I'm walking around, I get to a spot and I see blood. So now this is surreal. So I knew something happened. But I needed to know what happened because right now it is well after midnight. So I get home. All of my boys are waiting for me. They're like, Chuck, we know who did this. Let's go get them. I'm like, I need to know what happened before I make a rational decision like that. I need to know what happened. But as you start to kind of ask people about it, and I started to gather the information, the story basically goes like this. My sister was walking down the street from a friend's house. She got caught in crossfire between rival gangs, and the guy that she was with used her as a body shield. Danielle was 17 years old. She never had an opportunity to live life. So at that point, I had a decision to make. I knew I had a family at Eastern Michigan that needed me, but I also had my family at home that needed me. And I didn't want to go back to school. But as I sat back and I started contemplating thoughts, all I can remember was a quote by Dr. Martin Luther King. And it's a quote that says, it's not where you stand during comfort and convenience, but it's how you stand during challenge and controversy. Here I was at the pivotal point in my life of having to face that decision on what to do. Do I listen to my boys who I thought had my back? That if I know that I did something, I probably would be in jail. But at that point, I wanted to do something. And I knew there were bigger goals out there for myself. So what I did was channel all my energy, number one, to be the first in my family to graduate college. That was a goal of mine. I was able to do that in 1997. But the second one was to create something that made an impact on my community. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I wanted to. So as after I graduated in 1997, I got drafted by the Detroit Lions in 1998. And at the end of that season is when I started my foundation. It's called the Best of the Batch Foundation. So now, all of the people at home were saying, I can't believe that you're willing to do this because right now I'm getting ready to go up for trial. So I'm getting ready to go up to trial. So the guy that they now found, and they have him sitting on the stand. And as you know, the codes of the street don't talk. There was not one person that was willing to stand up to say that guy did it. And to this day, the killer has never been found. So now as I want to start this foundation, I had the people in my own community saying, you are crazy, because I would not start something when they did that to my family. I would be mad if I was you. I would be so mad that I would just want to leave. But that wasn't the way that I did it. We started the foundation. When I went back home to the Steelers, In 2002 is where we started our programming and started kicking off foundation program after foundation program. Here we are now, 15 years later. 15 years later, and we now service 3,300 kids annually through 13 different programs in 6 different counties. That was the way that I channeled my energy. And a lot of people were saying, I still can't believe it because I would be mad to this day. And I said, you are right. We are mad because we are making a difference. That was being resilient for me, number 2. But number 3 is being a pro. What's being a pro? Standing up and accepting responsibility even when you know things totally aren't your fault. Accepting responsibility even when you know things totally aren't your fault. Let me give you a couple examples. In 2012, as a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger got hurt. And at that point, do we have any Steeler fans in here? A couple, okay, we have a couple in here. Lions, that's cool. I'll get with you in a minute. But in 2012, Ben Roethlisberger got hurt. I was getting ready to start against the Cleveland Browns. Now, you know in Pittsburgh, that rivalry goes deep. You can't lose to the Cleveland Browns. So everybody's like, oh yeah, we got this game. We're gonna go up to Cleveland. We're gonna whoop some tail. And we're gonna come home with the victory. But lo and behold, when we get to Cleveland, the game doesn't necessarily go that way. We had 1 turnover, 2 turnovers, 3, 5, 8. 8 turnovers in a football game, and I turned the ball over 3 times. And I'm standing there in front of the media. And now the media is all like this. They're like, man, Charlie, you can't do it anymore. You're old. We can't do it. And I'm like, yeah. So they're asking me, so tell me about this game. And at that point, I stood there and I said, you want to know what? I cannot lead this team to that type of performance. 8 turnovers. Now, what I really wanted to say, standing in front of them, say, listen, yeah, we turned it over 8 times. I only turned it over 3, so you need to ask the other people about the 5 turnovers. But I couldn't. As the leader of that football team, I could not. So now, as you know, during sports, the next 48 hours is always pretty much negative if your team loses. Am I right? So at that point, in my household, my wife, we have a rule that I'm not allowed to watch SportsCenter more than 30 minutes a day. But on this day, she says, honey, if you want to watch SportsCenter, by all means, go ahead and watch SportsCenter. I said, well, why would I want to watch SportsCenter when they're clowning me? Telling me how bad I was, how old I was, and I can't do it anymore. She says, I know. That's why I'm allowing you to watch SportsCenter. So I'm mad at her. I'm like, okay, fine. That's cool. So I didn't watch it. But as we get ready for the next game, and as you saw last night against the Baltimore Ravens, Pittsburgh-Baltimore, that was a heavy rivalry. So now Ben Roethlisberger is trying to come back. He's practicing as if he's going to come back. I had no idea if I was going to start that game. And at this point, we get ready for Baltimore. Ben's not playing, I'm starting. So I said, Coach, if you were going to allow me to start, at least give me the opportunity to practice all week. He says, don't worry about it. You're a veteran, go play. That's how I found out that I was starting. So at that point, I'm feeling a little down as we're getting ready for the game. We're on the bus heading to Baltimore, going to M&T Stadium. So I said, you want to know what? I'm a little down. I need some motivation. I need someone who's going to give me that lifter-upper that I need. Who can I call? Mom. So I'm on the bus. I'm like, Mom. I said, hey, what's going on? She's like, hey. I said, hey, I'm feeling a little down and need some motivation. She says, I said, you got something for me? She said, babe, I've been watching you play football since the age of 7. And you've been in the National Football League now for 15 years. And you've been playing for 31 years. And it's been one heck of a ride. She said, but there's no way in hell you're going to Baltimore and you're winning today. And hung the phone up. I'm like, what? So I'm on my phone. I look at it like, did she really hang up on me? So I looked at the phone. I got mad. I threw the phone against the window. Boom. And the team looked back like, man, this dude's ready to play. I'm like, yeah. They're like, yeah, we're ready to play. I'm like, no, I'm mad at my mom. As that game went on, not a lot of people outside of Steeler Nation thought that we were going to win that game. And when I say outside of it, my mother included, she did not think that we were going to win that game. What ended up happening, we were sitting on the minus 13-yard line, 4 minutes in the fourth quarter with our ball, 6 minutes and 51 seconds on the clock. So I'm standing there in the huddle. We're on the field. I'm looking around, everybody ready to go, like, yeah. And I'm looking around. They're like, yeah, let's go. They're like, Charlie. I'm looking. The referee's like, 10 seconds, Charlie, 10 seconds. They're like, Charlie, let's go. Charlie, what are you looking at? I said, there's two Steeler fans up there, man. That's pretty cool. They're like, man, get your butt back to the huddle. Let's play this game. I'm like, all right, cool, let's go. So we get out there. First and second down didn't go the way that I wanted it. Third down is 3rd and 12. I literally get to the point in the shotgun. I catch the football. Halati Nada, who now plays for the Lions, he's a big man. He breaks through the line. I'm sitting there. Mike Wallace is running. He has to get to 12 yards. He's only at 7 right now. I'm standing there. I'm holding the ball. Halati Nada's coming in. I'm holding the ball. I throw it. He's at 9 yards. He has to get to 12. I get posterized because I'm in the air. Halati Nada at 350 pounds lands on me. All I can hear go, ugh. I stand there. I lay on the ground, and it's like this. Not the music. But there was silence. Anytime that you have silence on the road, that means you've done something good. So he caught that pass for the first down. I complete a left pass to the left to Antonio Brown. Another pass to the right. The final pass in my National Football League goes to Mike Wallace for a 12-yard curl route. I get hit on the late hit. A flag is thrown, and there's an extra 15 seconds on the clock. We did extra 15 yards. At this point, the clock is running down. 5, 4. Coach Tomlin, he calls a timeout with 3 seconds left. And at this point, everybody's on the sideline. The game is tied at 20. Our kicker, Sean Sweesom, goes out there. He lines up. The rest of the sideline's like, I can't watch this. I can't watch this. Everybody else is, I can't watch this. And I'm thinking to myself, I can't watch this either. Then I turned around. And I said, I done came too daggone far to miss my moment. And at that point, there was a snap. There was a hold. And all I remember is those 2 Steeler fans in the upright going like this. And at that point, there became an emotional moment, and the Steeler Nation knows this. I embraced Ben Roethlisberger, and we hugged probably for about 2 minutes. Everybody's celebrating, I'm hugging him. And he's thanking me for everything I've done for him, and I'm thanking him for everything that he's done for me. In that moment, caught when, and a lot of people saw that moment. But for me, I knew that Ben Roethlisberger was coming back, and I probably would never start another game in the National Football League. And it turns out I didn't. But at that point, it was just my reminder as being the pro. Accepting responsibility, even when you know things totally aren't your fault. Because if I put the blame last week, I probably wouldn't have got the opportunity this week. And just to give you just a little bit of a visual of what I just explained, I'm going to show you right here. Any volume?
Touchdown, Pittsburgh! Jonathan Blair picks up his first touchdown rushing Ravens had won 15 straight at home, but the Steelers overcame long odds and a 10-point deficit.
And that is a catch by Heath Miller, reaches for the pylon, and they call it a touchdown.
One more time and win it.
Chuck,
One more time. It's all here right now. It's all here right now.
The Steelers had never beaten the Ravens with Roethlisberger sidelined. But with the score tied at 20, the 37-year-old Batch was 5 for 5 on a drive that set up the winning field goal.
And the Steelers can now let the clock wind down and bring on Sean Sweezum. Sean Sweezum, he's 23 of 24.
Man, snap it, hold it, and protect it. I ain't worried about 6.
The snap is down. Sweezum's kick is on its way. That kick is good. And the Pittsburgh Steelers upset the Baltimore Ravens. And how about Charlie Batch?
Phenomenal. Coming back after last week's game, winning this football game.
The Steelers were 7 and 5 and getting their starter back.
That right there just gives you a little bit about what I was talking about. But you never know when your moments are going to occur. Whether that's sports or not, you just never know. And the reminder is sports will be taken away from all of us at some point. As you all came to this conference, the one thing that I can tell you is the fact that what's the first step to getting better? Showing up. That's the first step to getting better. You all are here today because you believe in the mission and what they're trying to accomplish here at this conference. I'm here because I believe in what you all are trying to do. Last night I didn't finish on radio until 3 in the morning, but I got on the road and drove up here to be able to have the opportunity to talk to you all and maybe answer some questions that you all might have. Whatever we can do, you let me know. As you sit back here, 3 principles I talked about: being ready, being resilient, and being the pro. You all had that opportunity at some point. But when you sit back, Flint is no different than what Homestead, Pennsylvania is. I know where you've been, and I would know where you could potentially go. But it's up to you together, collectively, to go out there. And so when somebody asks you from this conference, what are you planning to do? How do you feel right now? You tell them you are mad because you're prepared to make a difference. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you.
Yeah, we're going to open it up for just a quick Q&A, just 1 or 2 questions. Charlie's been amazing. What I love about Charlie is he shows up and says, "What do you want me to do?" And he wants to get the audience involved a little bit. And we're coming down to the 4:30 mark, and but we don't want to let this opportunity to pass us by. So does anybody have a question for Charlie? And we'll take a couple questions before we wrap this up. Does anybody want to ask Charlie a question about what he talked about? Right over here.
For me, the question is, what is my greatest accolade in my life? And for me, it's starting my foundation and making the impact. Because, like I said, sports will be taken away from all of us. You think about it, 15 years ago, I was a member of the Detroit Lions. Some people liked me, some people hated me. But either way, I believed in my dreams. But it led me to get to the point where I got to the point where I was in Pittsburgh. And at that point, starting the foundation. If that tragedy didn't happen in my life, I don't know if I would be at this point, or at least the levels that we were at. But it was important that people remembered me more for what I did off the field than what I did on it. And right now, being able to continue to do that and grow the foundation to the levels that we are, I'm proud of that moment.
What did your mom say after the game?
What did my mom say after the game? Actually, I called my mother, right? My mother didn't answer the phone. She sent me a text. I knew you were going to do it, baby. She said, I was just trying to challenge you. I'm like, okay, Mom. But I love her for that because she was honest. She didn't think that I was going to get it done. And I probably was the first time in my life that she doubted me. And I wanted to prove her wrong more than anybody else. I can't see anybody else. I got the lights here. I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead. Say it again.
What's the one biggest thing that changed your life?
The one biggest thing that changed my life was the loss of my sister. My sister was 17 years old. She never had an opportunity to live life. But I never wanted another family to feel the way that we did. Because when I went through the trials, and when you look at the news, and if you haven't paid attention to it, look at it tonight. The first 10 minutes are always negative. Whatever's negative is probably one of the first stories. But I remember 18 years ago, I was that top story. So we try to help people who are in that situation as comfort zones for them, to let them know, look, I don't know how we can help you, but if we can comfort you, we're more than happy to do that. But that was the biggest life changer for me.
We have one right here.
Oh, I'm sorry. She was back there. I'm sorry. She was back there first. Go ahead. What am I going to take away from here? Having the opportunity to meet you all. And when I say that, I'm saying seriously, I'm not here to reinvent the wheel. I hope you don't. So whatever things that we were able to do and the hurdles that we were able to overcome, whether that's state funding, whether that's just trying to get something off the ground and running, we can help you do that by having those conversations.
How you doing? I just wanted to say I'm a lifer Detroit Lions fan. You're an exception.
Where you at, Bama?
I'm over here in the blue.
My left, your right.
On your
Oh,
left.
up here, okay.
Yeah, and I just wanted to let you know you're an exceptional football player. We've always known as Detroit Lions fans. But my question was, your foundation is Best of the Batch, and I was wondering if you could name a particular story that is the actual best of your batch.
Okay. Best of the Batch Foundation, we're an educational foundation, and what we do is use sports to draw kids in. So with our programs, it's a lot easier to do it that way versus saying, hey, meet me at the library, we're going to read a book in the summer. I'd be lucky to get 25 kids. So what we've done is start a basketball league. Our basketball league has 365 kids who participate, and at that point, each kid must attend 4 mandatory study halls and read a book. They read a book and attend 4 mandatory study halls. That's our way of doing it. But when you talk about a story with one particular kid, I had a young lady who actually came in our building, and you can see her, and I'm like, she said, so what else? I'm having a conversation with her about what she wanted to do with her life. And she said, you want to know what? My dream, I want to go to college, and I want to go to college in Bethune-Cookman down in Florida. I said, okay. I said, well, what does your family want you to do? They said, well, my mother wants me to go to IUP, which is in Indiana University of Pennsylvania. She wanted her to stay locally. So I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. We can help you get where you want to go, but you now have to go home and tell your mother first. So she'd go home, tell her mother, and at that point, her mother walks in, they're steaming in the front door. I'm like, oh my goodness. Her mother walks in, sits down on my desk, and she puts a pile of papers. She said, you told my daughter to live her dream and to go out of state. Well, I need you to help make that happen. I said, okay. I cleared my desk. Everything that I had done that day. We got her enrolled in school. We got her grant money. She is now going into her 3rd year at Bethune-Cookman. And the thing that I'm proud of her, she now has a 3.75 GPA.
Charlie, thank you. Let's one more round of applause for Charlie Batch.
So the one thing I talked about, and a lot of it is sports, but the one ring that I'm proud of is the fact of my college graduation ring, because that was the first in my family to graduate from college. I carry this with me all the time as a reminder. But the one thing I will leave you with today is a quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. It's a quote that says, do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. I can't sit up here and tell you what it's going to take for you to become a 15-year NFL veteran. All I'm going to tell you is there's a right way and there's a wrong way. I wasn't the most talented athlete to ever come out of Homestead, Pennsylvania. And if I told you that, I would be a lie. But what I can tell you is I worked my tail off, educated myself to the point and to the levels, understanding that I would be former a lot longer than active. But when I look back into the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers, you're talking 80 plus years, 6 Super Bowls. There has been only one person that has been born and raised in Pittsburgh to play for the Steelers and have 2 Super Bowl rings. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you all today, man. And if I can help you in any way, please let me know. Thank you.